I think we're live. I think yeah, let's live. Let's play some music.
All right, crank it up, the band. Oh, I love it.
I have no idea, Rob, how it works.
Well, hey, when Amazon has problems, we just go deeper, okay? We ain't afraid of nothing. It's not a problem, huh? All right,
Three
Rob
people
Brown here
watching.
with you. That's right. On this morning, and then we are all live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. A little technical difficulties. In case you hadn't heard, Amazon has crashed. The whole world right now is wandering around like zombies, trying to figure out, hey, what do we do? But we got the best executive producer on the planet, Brendan Martin. Take a picture with your phone.
No, don't.
Nope.
Rob,
Don't
you're
do
gonna
that.
have to call an audible, bro. Audible.
Okay.
Audible.
All right, so we'll Omaha 42, 19.
Red 69. Billy Napier's gone.
Yeah,
What do I do? Cordelli, I'm screwed.
And then, hey, Dave Bartu texted me and said his fever now is over 101. He's feeling under the weather and trying to get better. So, Dave, you're in the prayers. Get better out there in Oregon. But we got Coach Pete Cordelli, Coach Ellis Johnson. I'm Rob Brown here with you in Memphis. A lot to cover today, man. A lot happened over the weekend. We all know this much, that coaching-wise, they made a change at Florida. I think there are a lot of people at Auburn wondering when they're going to give the 24-hour notice, which is what they customarily do when you're on death row on the Green Mile. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm with last night as we were talking we did a pop-up show with Buddy Martin and Franz Beard. I was on there with them. And Franz made a good point. You got to think about it ain't the head coach. He's going to have enough money for generational wealth. It's the staff. It's all the support people and their families. It is a monumental change in a lot of people's lives. When we talked, executive director of the College Football Playoff Committee, Rich Clark, spoke last Monday in Memphis. And Pete Harold Grader was talking to Rich. He was introducing him. And he said, I see where you moved 19 times in your military career. In 38 years, Lieutenant General, you retired as superintendent of the Air Force Academy. That's about every 2 years. That's a lot to put on you, but change is inevitable. It's going to happen. Both of y'all have experienced it and seen it. The life of a coach is it is unlike about any profession that you can imagine. And you paid well, but you pay for it. That's for sure. Ellis, over the weekend, I don't think too many people were surprised. I know Pete up in Nashville, Vandy Mania has taken over on West End Broadway. But I'm going to ask Pete. I'm going to ask Ellis first, and then Pete. The job being done by Clark Lee, who's an MBA grad, what they call the gentleman scholars. My intern Oakley McFerrin went there and played with Marcel Reed. They do it right. Clark is so proud of Vanderbilt. And I was on the elevator with him going up to media days last year in Dallas, summer of 24. He's talking to his wife, and he was sweating. He was nervous about going in that room. But he gave a speech about the vision and what they're doing, and he's delivering. How impressed are you with what's going on in Nashville?
It's unbelievable. I mean, they've had some other times in their history where they've been pretty good here and there and have a good season, so forth, have a big upset. I'm partial to Bobby Johnson, who was there, about 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
He did an unbelievable job. I don't think he had the resources that Clark's got either. What I hope through all of this is that it makes Vanderbilt understand just what that can do for that school. Sometimes these rich private schools don't think they need anything else to thrive and survive. And once they experience this continued success, they'll start seeing everything affected. I mean, things like the communities, the economics and so forth, and then kids applying to school and more qualified grads that they got to pick from. It's just, I don't know, to me, and of course we're coaches and we think this way, but I just think it's an unbelievable part of the overall university environment, and hopefully they'll wake Vanderbilt up now and they'll realize this could be a great thing for us. I don't know how they're going to hold on to him, being a grad, I guess they got a shot to keep him, but it's going to be hard to hold on to Clark if they don't make that huge commitment.
Well, we're heading to Nashville today around 1:30 or 2. Hopefully get to see Pete up there. But
Yeah.
man, Chris Lee, Southeastern 16, is on the show with us a lot at Rivals.com for Vandy. He said they've always gone to the same families in Belmead and Franklin, to support. Are they reaching out, Pete? You're right there in Nashville, but they certainly, when I first started selling bonds 34 years ago, back then they had a $3.2 billion endowment. I think it's pushing 12 plus, but they've got money.
They've always had money. And I don't know how many people know this, but in the old stadium before they expanded, under the scoreboard at the north end of the stadium, they had 2 parking spots. One was for the chancellor, and one was for Mr. Young Sr., Logan Young's father.
Yeah.
Logan Young's dad was the largest contributor to Vanderbilt athletics 4 years.
Yes.
And Logan always used to say, "Hey, you want to go to Nashville? I got a parking spot for you."
Yeah, he did.
But,
he used
to... people don't understand. Logan had a lot of interest, not only in Alabama and with Coach Bryant, but at Vanderbilt. The one thing Clark Lee has done, and you can't do it alone. We all know that. It has to do with your staff. The first guy he hired was Barton Simmons, who was his high school teammate at MBA. My son-in-law, Bert Hoover, was on that team with Clark Lee, Barton Simmons. They had a really good program. Clark went to Vanderbilt. He started out as a baseball player and then transferred or moved over to football. And Barton went to Yale. And then Barton got involved with 24/7 Sports, some of the college recruiting groups that were putting 5 stars, 4 stars on people. He knew all the players, but the added incentive was that they also knew who the alums were with money. Mm-hmm. Now, what Clark did was when he came from Notre Dame, he brought a young man by the name of Nick Valdesari, whose grandfather was RSID, Roger Valdesari.
Yeah.
He brought some other support staff from Notre Dame, and he said, "I saw it done at Notre Dame. We're going to adopt a similar plan here at Vanderbilt." Because I've always said, when you're at Notre Dame, Notre Dame's not for everybody. Everybody's not for Notre Dame. That's the same way at Vanderbilt. And it's been because of the academic standards and some of the things you had to do in the past to get players in. The one big impact they made, they being Clark Lee, Barton Simmons, and that staff, is they started recruiting Middle Tennessee in the local area.
Yeah.
Because before, those players were going other places. They've done a great job with that. It takes about 3 years to get your staff right before you figure out who fits as a recruiter, philosophy-wise, teaching-wise, and all that. Getting Tim Beck and Jerry Kill to come from New Mexico State and bringing Diego Pavia has been the catalyst to propel this Vanderbilt program because of the confidence of both Jerry Kill, who's won everywhere he's been. Tim Beck was at Pittsburgh State for years and won national championships at that level. And then to bring a guy like Pavia, who started at, I believe, New Mexico Military, won a junior college national championship. And, he's not afraid of anything. His swag is unbelievable and it's rubbed off. But it's a combination of things. It's not just, you can't just point at one thing. And like Ellis said, they finally have an athletic director who understands how important football is. And she's a former basketball player in Candace Story. And her and Clark were in school together at Vanderbilt at the same time and know each other.
Okay.
When Coach Holtz used to say this all the time, it's a business deal. He used to keep track of how many times we were on national TV and how much money it brought to the school, but also how many bowl games we went to. When we were at NC State, we went to 4 straight bowl games in football. First time an ACC program had ever done that in football because it was known as a basketball program.
Yeah.
So he used to keep his own ledger. He had a book. He put all that in. But then he also said, we're going to increase the applications because kids want to have a great college experience through athletics.
Yeah.
I ask high school kids where they're applying all the time. Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Texas. Why? Now SMU's jumped in. Why? We want to have a great college experience on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Football's driving that train right now, and admissions, if they're smart, they need to jump on that.
Yeah, and everybody, you're right about that. And Ellis, you look at a school like Clemson, what football has meant to them, and I mean, I'm shocked. I thought Clemson. I followed Clemson since I was a kid. You got a son on that team. You know that program well. You look at the ACC over the weekend, and if you're not paying attention, life's going to pass you by, Coach. SMU beats Clemson. Cal beats North Carolina Friday night. I stayed up late watching that. I like that Friday night ACC. I don't give a damn who's playing. I just love the game. I love the stories behind these coaches because the more I get to know y'all and other coaches, appreciate what they do. I mean, it's on another level. And then Stanford. Oh, Stanford was written off. They'll never win again, Ellis. They beat Florida State. And since Mike Norvell said, we don't need, and Clemson and North Carolina, we don't need those schools in this league. They're 1-11 at Florida State versus the ACC. You're not going to keep Stanford down, but Coach, what's the underlying story here just on that ACC side? What's happening there? And Miami got knocked off. I think Jeff Brom is one of the best coaches in America.
Yeah, it was a crazy weekend. Miami got beat. Clemson got beat. Florida State got beat. All the teams at preseason were talking about, maybe having a shot to go to playoffs and all this. I don't understand. I don't know what happened with Florida State. You beat Alabama the first game. I mean, beat the brakes off of them. And now they can't beat Stanford. Clemson can't run the football, and now they got injuries. So they don't have Klubnik, and they don't have a running game. So what are you going to do? And I took Georgia Tech again. They're just so tough-minded. They remind me of Georgia. They don't have the talent Georgia does. But if you go back to that game, the final game last year, I think they went about 14 overtimes. I fell asleep on the ninth one. But I'm telling you, man, it was one of the best football games. And those two football teams, just some point you want to stop and say, hey, you both win. But Key's got them playing good. And they got enough talent. They don't have great talent. Miami, figure that one out. I mean, Brom is a great football coach, but I can guarantee you he didn't have the roster that Miami has. And they're not a team that seems to come up and down, up and down. Cristobal is a very disciplined, hard-nosed coach. They usually come to play. But last year they had one like this against, I think it was Syracuse, got them late in the year. But there's a lot of parity in the league. And I don't know. I just don't think it's a great football league, but there is some good football being played in there competitively. The talent level, I think, is a notch below in the recruiting aspects than the SEC and top of the Big Ten.
Yeah. Well, looking at the SEC, LSU, that was the first time Vanderbilt had been a favorite in an SEC game since 1978. And I think WKRP in Cincinnati was one of the top rated TV shows at that time. 188 straight games. And my grandfather and his brother, they all went to law school there after they left VMI. A lot of my family went to Vanderbilt, and they've always been so polite and cordial. And I'm waiting for them to say something like at Thanksgiving or Christmas, like doors, baby. I mean, it's door mania. Stephen Patrick Walsh, great friend of mine in Atlanta, he was right. He said, Bobby, doors will dominate LSU. He thought they beat Alabama too, but they didn't. But he's been right almost every time this year. Pete, you look at the SEC, look at these games coming up. I mean, Tennessee, Alabama, by the way. Pete, were you shocked at what happened there? We'll start getting fast paced because I'm not seeing the time when we started, but I know Brendan will let us know. But Pete, Tennessee, Alabama, that was ugly. That pick six right before the half. Isn't that why you kind of play it close to the vest in a game like that? But what were your takeaways from that game? And then we'll start looking ahead at some of these weekend matchups.
Rob, in the SEC, Separation Saturday started this Saturday. We had 8 SEC games. 6 of them were one score. 6 of the 8. 2 went to overtime. All right. And my gosh, Missouri snatched defeat out of the jaws. I mean, Auburn snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory. But anyway.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Auburn, Tennessee. Tennessee's defense, their secondary is ranked 16th out of 16 teams. Yeah. And they haven't been able to really get much pressure off the edge. They've struggled some. It did not surprise me with 9 seconds to go, Josh Heupel wanting to score a touchdown and to call a pass, whether it's incomplete, now you come on and kick the field goal. I was surprised by the play call. When you have Aguilar, who you give him a run-pass option, you don't drop him back. Alabama got great pressure off the edge. They knocked the blocker back into Aguilar. But that's a pretty easy read, especially in a condensed area on the field. You're on the 1-yard line. You only got 11 yards to play with. It's not like you're reading deep to intermediate to short. It's quick or out of bounds. Sideline hasn't missed a tackle since
beginning of time.
Since BC, but Aguilar felt like he had to make a play there, which has haunted him in the past at Appalachian State his senior year. That ugly interception reared its head, just like it reared its ugly head 4 times for Carson Beck on Friday night against that Louisville defense. Yeah. Guys revert back. I understand wanting to pass for the touchdown, but I didn't like the play call. I thought they'd for sure put Aguilar on a sprint out, quick pass either to the corner, or if if he could get around the corner, he runs it in. Didn't happen. The kid from Alabama made a great read, but again, you're in a condensed area. I see the back coming out to me, but my eyes go right back to the quarterback.
Yeah.
So I pick up my key number 1. I look for the ball number 2, and boom, he was gone. And he made a heck of a run for the touchdown.
Yeah, he almost got caught, but he didn't. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I was surprised again by the play call. Now you're at home. Here, let me give you a number. I don't know if you've heard this. Kalen DeBoer, as an FBS head coach, he is 15-2. 15-2 in matchups against ranked FBS opponents.
Wow.
It's number 1 in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, that one there, I don't know of anybody else with that record.
Well, I don't either. And I'll tell you what, I don't know who sells those black Alabama hoodies that he wears, but his record wearing that black hoodie is amazing. And I think he should sleep in it. If I'm an Alabama fan, I want him to live in it. Ellis,
everybody's selling those black hoodies now.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna be the hot thing. I mean, I don't care if it's 100 degrees, you're gonna wear that. You start thinking about this too. Looking at the games. Ellis, were you surprised Texas at Kentucky? I mean, my 5 picks, I had Mississippi State. I was with Brendan. We took Mississippi State to beat Florida straight up, but I took Texas to cover. They had to go to 2 overtimes. Pete's right, to beat Kentucky. Do y'all know Brad White, the DC up at Kentucky, Ellis?
I don't know him well. They do a good job, but Mark's got his hands in it, I'm sure, deeply.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best. I don't know. It's one of the most weird games I've ever seen, and To make sure, full disclosure, I was in the car for 2 hours,
That's
had
right.
visitation for an hour and a half,
Yeah.
and in the car for two
Yeah.
more hours. I didn't see, like, I pulled Dave Bartu this weekend. I just read up all the numbers after I got back. But that game was still on when I got home. And I mean, Texas looked like they just left everything the week before. I mean, it was pitiful. Guys, listen to this: 8 first downs, 5 of 16 on third down, 179 total yards, and I mean, it just 47 yards rushing. They had 7 penalties. Kentucky only had 3. They won the turnover battle, but it was just a +1. But it was at a critical time. But I mean, it just makes you wonder: can they go the distance? And I don't think so. I mean, they're just not. They're just not mentally tough or something. And Kentucky's a good team this year, but this is not one of Mark's better teams. They held
No.
the ball 19 minutes on Texas. They should not have won that ball game, but maybe that's a sign of a championship team. They did manage to pull it out at the end. But
They
I mean, it was. I mean, you go back and look at it, and you're like, how can they play so poorly? And I think maybe, hindsight, if Napier had been healthy and had a good week of practice, I don't know if they beat Oklahoma.
Yeah. Well, Ellis, you think about this. Kentucky had 395 total yards against Texas. Arch Manning, he's really just in his first year as a starter. We know that. The hype train, you got to put all that aside. Let's say his name is Saul Rosenberg. That's the name of him, the quarterback. And Saul had 129 yards passing in that game, but they went on the road. They won. Look at Georgia's last 3 trips to Lexington, KY. They get out by the skin of their teeth, man. It doesn't matter. It's a house of horrors. And that's what Jordan
And
Hare Stadium's
real quick, though, Texas got a lot of question marks besides Arch Manning. I
Yeah,
mean, everybody's
exactly.
been scapegoating his butt since day one, and he's not playing that well. But I mean, the surrounding cast is terrible when you talk about a national championship caliber team.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not good.
yeah. And that's what I was
Coach,
going to say, Coach.
let's
That
go back. Let's go back to last year when Georgia dominated that offensive line. This has been an issue for the last 2-3 years, Ellis. You're exactly right. The mental toughness that's required to win a championship, Texas doesn't have it. They didn't have it last year. They sure as heck don't have it this year. And I tell you, I mean, Sark is scrambling, but you know what? Kentucky, I'm with you. Mark has his hands in it, and he's going to coach them hard. The quarterback played better for Kentucky than he has. They changed
Yeah,
quarterbacks, and now the
he did.
backup's in there, and he's playing well.
let me ask both of y'all something. And Ellis is both of y'all are so damn smart. I'm just going to say, you're right. Don't put all this on Arch. That offensive line, they replaced 4 starters. Again, that's like, you have a business, and right before quarterlies are due, or April 15th, you have your top 4 accountants, bookkeepers, all get eaten by a shark, and they're no longer with you. I mean, it's a big deal, and Arch is just getting blamed. He's getting blamed for this Restream and Amazon crash today. This internet there are people that are going to blame Arch Manning. It's ridiculous. His kid and he's also got, y'all are coaches. Sark is talking to him. He's got a plan for him, but the rest of the team's got to do their part. But the thing that gets me is, and I'm going to have him on the show Wednesday. One of my son's friends, fraternity brothers at Auburn, has an NIL business. He's 26 years old. And he told me something. He's going to talk about it Wednesday. We're going to have him on for about 15 minutes Wednesday. He said, I got a kid at a Big Ten school. His deal is $45,000 a month. He told Jonathan Smith, I think the coach at Michigan State, he said, do not, don't say anything. Don't say anything about what you're making. And they talk. I'm just saying that, he saw a kid at another school making $52,000 a month. All hell breaks loose. And then what you hear about Texas is not how hard they're working in the strength room, not how tough the line of scrimmage is on offense or defense, or how gritty that linebacker is playing with, blood coming down his leg and a busted tibia, broken hand, but he stayed in there and played. You're hearing about Lamborghinis and the players lounge and all this, just candy ass stuff. It's not making them tough, Coach Johnson and Pete.
I go back also now, if you'll think back, last year they went all the way to the last game in the playoffs. And one of the first things Sark says within 2 or 3 weeks is he doesn't know if they'll have spring practice. They're tired and they're beat up from this long road. And I understand the logic behind it, but you're sending the wrong message to those kids. And if you don't want to have spring practice, just don't get in the national media and talk about it. Maybe move it a couple of weeks, maybe pull back on them a little bit, maybe cut 2 or 3 practices off the schedule or something. But to sit there and analyze that you're not going to have spring practice because you made it so far in the playoffs and the kids are tired and the kids are beat up, maybe it all started right then.
Yeah, Pete, think about this.
Hey, Rob, Ellis and I remember a time you played in a bowl game. All the bowls were January 1st. And let me tell you something. The second week in February, we were in spring practice. We had 20 days, and they were in pads.
Yeah.
The second week in February. And then we went back to the weight room after. And then we went back to the weight room after spring practice until finals.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing we didn't have back in was we didn't have colleges paying for summer school unless the guy academically needed it. So guess what happened? I went home. Halfway through the day I left campus, I'm not going to tell you where, but you'll figure it out. And I had to report back to Raleigh, North Carolina. I had a coach come visit me at my high school and put me through my running test and conditioning test. And he said, you missed by 3 seconds. You come back and you miss, Lou's running you out of town.
Yeah.
You bring up a good point. We've become so soft. But, man, we went 20 days.
Yeah.
And it was right after the bowl games. Spring practice is so darn important for all those players.
Yeah.
That's why I think the transfer portal is going to get moved to the end of April and May rather than have this confusion now, so that you can get the core of your team on the field and make the advancements you need in your program.
Yeah. Well,
this early date's crazy.
Well, the deal, the softness, the coddling of these student athletes, I blame the coaches. You got the tail wagging the dog too, but they don't want to be coddled. The guys at Georgia, you look at Gunner Stockton, Exhibit A. Now you want to get in a fight on Saturday on the field in a game. That's the quarterback I want in my corner. And Ellis, what Pete just said, what used to be spring practice when I was at Auburn, it was the last Saturday in April was the A-Day game. And now you got people starting in mid-February spring practice. But these guys are supposed to be tough. Golly, I need to get my brother-in-law, Kurt, tell you about his 26 years in the Marine Corps. Hey, sometimes he goes, you don't stop until you're done. Meaning you could go days. I got a picture of him 60 hours in Fallujah, sitting there with his weapon across his knees. And I said, who took that picture? He said, well, I've got one of my men to take it. He's very quiet about it, but he said, I got one of my men to take it because we had just cleared like 9 houses and we had more to do. And I literally wanted to send it home to Audrey and my mom and my family and Lynette, his wife. I mean, that's just, that's toughness. Don't tell me, we can't have spring practice. We got to get the testosterone levels in this country are way down because we got people who don't do anything anymore. Blame Amazon or whatever, but you got to do stuff, Ellis. And I'm looking at defense. I'll tell you one thing they've gotten the message through, Coach Johnson, targeting. And Steve Shaw talks about it when he comes on this show, the coordinator of NCAA officials. I think they are getting the game cleaned up there. Defensive coaching. What's the best way to get better as a defensive player, Ellis?
Oh, you have to practice against good people.
Yeah.
Mike Dubose, who I worked with at Alabama, best on the field teacher
Yeah.
I've ever been around. But Mike used to
Wow.
say, defense is sight, reaction, contact. Sight, reaction, contact. He said, hell, even a defensive back that makes an interception, he saw something, he reacted, and he made contact with the football. I mean, it's sight, reaction, contact. But what he was really talking about is
Love
you
it.
have to react to another player to be a good defensive player. You don't just initiate something on your own, except maybe a blitz. And even then, you got to see the football move. So everything starts with your eyes. And then you don't get better fundamentally getting off the block and tackling somebody if you're doing it with somebody who's, a down the line player every day,
Mm-hmm.
a scout
Yeah.
teamer. Now, some of them are just as good as you are, and they're just down the depth chart. But most of the time, they're not as good as the kids you're going to try to tackle on Saturday. It's just common sense. So if you
Yeah.
don't do a little bit of good on good, full speed work each week, whether you do 2 hours or two little 5 minute periods or whatever, you got to do that, or defensive players start to regress in fundamentals and in just basic good football skills.
Yeah.
An offensive player, there's still some truth in it for offense, but you can go out there and work on some things on offense on air
Nice.
and get better. Very seldom on defense can you do anything that makes you better unless you're working against another good opponent.
Yeah. What
Rob,
true?
I got when I was with the Dallas Cowboys, and Coach, you remember Cornell Green.
Yep.
Cornell Green was an all-pro safety, played 14 years in the league, went to the Pro Bowl 11, but he never played college football. He was a basketball player from Oregon Tech. Cornell was 6'4". He was about 230. And let me tell you, when he hit you, he stoned you. All right. This is back when we'd go out to Thousand Oaks, California,
Yeah.
and we'd bring in 80 to 110 rookies. So that was in training camp. And then the vets would report. Well, hell, we already had 35, 38 veteran guys that Coach Landry knew who he wanted. But the first guy that talked to the rookies that Coach Landry had was Cornell Green. He said, Cornell, everybody knows who you are. You are the man, sets the tone for our defense. He said, tell these young guys how, and you're not a football player, college football player. Tell all these guys what makes you know whether it's run or pass. Cornell, get up there. Coach, same speech every year. Man, I thought you'd change it up. He said, hey, boys, when the quarterback puts the ball out, you got to see the ball, number one, to play defense. If you can't find the ball, you can't play defense. He said, when that quarterback puts the ball out, it's run. Come up and smack the hell out of them. When the quarterback puts out a free hand, get your ass back and defend the pass. He said, Coach, Cornell, he said, thank you very much. He said, I love to hear that every year. He said, all you rookies got any question, go see Cornell. Because if you don't do it right, he's going to slap you upside the head. But it's what Ellis said.
Yeah.
It's eye placement for run or pass, and that's how you react. And so many kids, how many defensive backs do we see never play the ball? They run through the receiver. If you're playing man, I'm
Yeah.
keying your eyes. I believe your eyes go up, that's one thing, because they can fake you out. But as soon as the eyes and hands go up, now I match hands to try to knock that ball out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, it's just, but the toughness, I'm going to tell you right now, if I was an AD interviewing new head coaches, I would want to know your plan during the week of practice and how many times you're going to go, like Ellis said, good on good. Because I know
Yeah.
our roster with the transfer portal, I don't know if these guys are any good. That's why when we came out of spring practice, we wanted a starting 11 on offense, a starting 11 on defense, and you knew your role going into the summer. Now,
Yeah.
if somebody beats your ass out in August, that's your fault. You didn't
Yeah.
do the work you had to do over the summer.
Yeah. I mean, and
I'll tell
here's
you,
another one. I'm going to ask Ellis. I mean, answer that question, and then I want you to talk about Ole Miss at Oklahoma, because this is a big one coming up this weekend.
if Napier takes care of the football, Oklahoma will beat Ole Miss double digits. I believe that. They're really good on defense, and the way they did Sellers the other day. Now, South Carolina's not a real good football team overall, but Lenore Sellers, I mean, they made him look very average. And when
Yeah.
they're on, you just can't breathe against Oklahoma. They're number 2 in the
Yeah.
nation right now, I think, scoring defense. And that's during a little stretch where they weren't playing well on offense. But if Napier takes care of the football, doesn't get playing cowboy too much, they might beat Ole Miss, 2 touchdowns. I just think it's going to be very difficult. Brent's used to all that fast-paced football and all that. He's seen it, and I think he'll have them ready to go. And I just don't see Ole Miss scoring more than 14 points out there.
Yeah, watching that game, my thing about Kirby Smart, they play a full 60. They're relentless. When you're going through hell, sometimes people panic. I mean, look at our producer this morning. We had a global meltdown on internet, Amazon, you name it. Brendan Martin, nobody's better. We figure it out. We didn't miss a beat. We got 4 engines. We lost 2 of them, but we're flying along. But that's why I've got Georgia playing Alabama for the SEC championship. I'm sticking by it. I have to. And I got Georgia winning it. Now, that's going to be a fun one because Alabama's won 10 of the last 11. But Ellis, you're talking about John Napier, and I didn't see it, but blood coming out of his hands. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not a trainer. I'm neither one. But I hope his hand is healed because that guy's tough. But he's from Little Elm, Texas, a little small town out there, one of 5,000 of them. But, man, Brent Venables, I'm a big Brent Venables fan. Don't know him, never met him. But I've always liked this guy, and I know a little about his story from Chris Plank, my friend who's the sideline reporter on the Oklahoma Sooner Football Network, and does a great show every day on KREF radio called Plank Show, 6 to 9 a.m. Central. But bottom line, I love what both of y'all are saying about good on good. And Ellis, when you were with Gene Stallings at Alabama, I remember my friend, the late, love him, John Turner, his son Jack's my attorney. Genius. They're all Alabama fans. You know him, Pete. John Turner. He passed away last year. Unbelievable guy. And he used to say, Rob, I'm going to tell you something. Terry Bowden's winning some games there at Auburn. But he goes, Brother Oliver and Ellis Johnson, he goes, they're going hat on hat every day. And Coach Stallings is out there loving it. And so they're going to keep going hat on hat. And that makes you better on Saturday. Ellis, you remember those days. I think that's still sight, react, contact. That, Ellis, I want you, I told Logan 3, I want to do a documentary, several of them, on Southern football. One of them is Brother Oliver and his coaching tree. And you are going to be in it because you're the closest living thing to Brother Oliver. You're similar to him in a lot of ways, but I think he's the greatest coordinator in the history of coordinators. I've never seen anything like him.
Yeah, he was good. Learned a lot from Bill. And I mean, when I got there, I think I was 40 years old. So I mean, I'd been coaching a while. I'd been a coordinator at Southern Miss with Curley, and had some other great experiences. But the amount of football I picked up in just a short while with those guys, Bill, Mike Dubose, and at first we had Lance. And Lance had been the coordinator at Nebraska when they were in the games of the century, Nebraska, Oklahoma. But I mean, Lance, he was a damn genius. And he left and went back to Texas, and Jeff Rousey stepped in. And of course, he had that Alabama background too. One other thing about the eyes, when I first got there, I'd always coached on the field on defense from behind the defense because I felt like I was seeing it the way my players were seeing it. And I've kept talking. Mike told me one day, said, you can't see their eyes over there. And I said, no, I can't. I said, but I can tell by what he does that what he was looking at. If he was looking at the wrong thing, he said, I think you need to be able you can coach their eyes. So I started moving around. I started coaching from the offensive side, and I could see the players' faces, their eyes, and what they were looking at before the snap of the ball. And from then on, I never coached defense on the field from anywhere but behind the offense. And you really, it just was one thing that stuck out. This sounds so simple, but I realized everybody was saying read your key or whatever. Who were you looking at? But it was eyes, 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 eyes. I mean, I must have heard that word 1,000 times every day on the practice field. I heard it more than feet. I heard it more than hands. It was just eyes. And
Yeah.
about the Alabama Georgia, it'd be hard to bet against those two teams not being in there because both got great quarterbacks, and they're both playing real good defense right now, and they both seem to be mentally tough. Georgia maybe more so than Alabama, we don't know. But I tell you what, Marcel Reed, I've been criticizing him now for about 3 or 4 weeks. They can't get the whole way.
Yeah.
He's not playing championship level. I'm not going to say this last game was a Heisman game, but I'm going to tell you something. He played a hell of a football game. Their defense didn't come to play as well this particular game, and that dude had a great game, and they offensively had a huge game. And if he continues to play at that level, I think it's going to be A&M and Alabama.
Yeah, it is good. What Bobby Petrino's got Arkansas doing. They're losing these close games by 3 and 6 and 3. Man, they can score on you though. Pete, I love what he just said about the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Coach Dye in this book in the arena, he said he used to stand in the backfield and watch his quarterbacks. And he said, and everybody knows I played offensive line. He loved defense. Remember the commercial with Jimmy Rain putting that fence across the goal line? He said, you think you can put that up on game day? Yellowwood. It was great. But he used to say, if my quarterback dropped his head after a bad play, looked dejected, I was on him like white on rice. He goes, I did not allow my quarterbacks to have a negative thought in their mind. And I think about Steve Spurrier, Shane Matthews. I said, Shane, what would Coach Spurrier say to you before you went out on the field? He said 3 things. Go have fun, throw the ball around, and do what we do every day. Just stay in your lane. Pete, it's so funny, Ellis. David Lipscomb played my high school, Christian Brothers High School, Friday night, and it didn't go well for the brothers. And I told, and Audrey was talking to me about it. I said, well, Pete coaches those quarterbacks. And she went, oh, God. Pete, you are really, both of y'all are really smart. But wax eloquently about Marcel Reed. What my intern, Oakley McFerrin, played with him at NBA. He said, Rob, because he's capable of anything. And isn't his dad a head football coach at Tennessee State?
He was. Rod Reed had come from North Carolina, and Rod became the head coach at Tennessee State. Marcel went to school at NBA. And if everybody remembers, Marcel had committed to Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin and out of high school. And then Jimbo came in and put a big bag in front of him, and he ended up in College Station. So Marcel's going through that coaching change. But the biggest thing, Marcel could always run. He was electric at NBA. Yeah. But the one thing that he has gotten better with under Mike Elko and Colin Klein is his passing game. Ellis is talking about eyes. I used to stand, and let me tell you, Ellis, you may remember this when you coached with Steve. Spurrier would take a white helmet, put it on the quarterback, and then put a black stripe down the middle. Mm-hmm. And he'd stand behind his quarterback, and he'd watch where that stripe went to see if the eye placement of the quarterback. But he stood behind to see not only the head movement, because the eyes will turn the head, but he also wanted to see where the receivers were. So he saw the completion of the play and the read. Well, to start a drill, I would always go over and stand in front of the quarterback and make sure his eyes were on me on his drop back so that he wasn't dropping his head or looking somewhere else. So I'd flash numbers at him. And if it was a 5-step drop, I would flash a 1, whatever. And he had to call it out on the drop. And we had routes set up. So I'd either flash a 1, a 5, make a fist for the 0. And he had to call it out as he was going on and keep his eyes on me and then throw the football. We know where the receivers are going to end up. And if in tight coverage, if the defensive back is on the outside hip, you throw the ball to the inside shoulder, keeping the receiver's body between the defender and the ball. If the defender's on the inside, throw it to the outside. It's like people have now come up with the back shoulder throw. That's because DBs are playing over the top. They're in phase. They're playing over the top. So I throw it to the outside shoulder because the DB's inside. And guys have gotten very proficient at that. And then you pick landmarks, like in 2 deep, when there's 2 safeties on the hash. All right. We always said there's 3 void areas versus 2 deep. There's an outside void, there's a middle void, and then outside void. But it's from 16 to 22 yards down the field. You have to put the ball in that bucket at 16 to 22 yards. So you can't have a lot of air on it where the safety can react off. If the corner drops, obviously it's a high-low read. So that's where your eyes have to be. But when you're throwing that ball against cover 2, you have to put it in those, we call them buckets. Yeah. But if it's any deeper than 22, the safety can get off the hash and react and get there and either blow up the receiver or make the interception. At 16, you're dealing with a corner that can bait you and get under it. But if his shoulders are turned backwards, throw it in front of him, because then he's got to so you have to read defenders' bodies as to where you're throwing the football, because you know where your receivers are going. You've worked on it. So it's eye placement, what you have to do. But I learned from Coach Spurrier, you put that tape on that helmet and it tells you the eyes from behind. But I'm like Ellis. I used to have a GA on the quarterback GA on the other side going, where was his eyes? And we would talk about it just like Ellis did with Mike. But when you get guys, you flash numbers at them. It's like receivers. Receivers have to read the triangle. And what I mean by that is man on, first defender inside, first safety inside. So if the corner's off, the first defender inside is up in an apex position, and the first safety's in the middle of the field. That's basically cover 3. That's a zone look to your side. Well, if you run with your head down and all of a sudden they rotate to you and they cloud you, how are you going to know how to read and react? So we used to do it for releases with receivers to make sure their eyes. There's a million different drills you can do to get their eyes right. But it all starts with your eyes, because your eyes send the message to the brain, which moves your body.
Yeah, and I remember Ellis and one time Bobby Bowden saying, if you beat a defensive back on a route, on a passing route, and you're back in the huddle and you're the quarterback or you're Bobby Bowden, and you see that DB with his head hanging down, he goes, we're coming right back at you. We're going to keep coming at you till you raise your head. And I want to,
Rob, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Coach Bowden used to make a speech when he'd go out and talk. And his clinic talk was, hold on to your arse. He didn't cuss. Hold on to your arse, because one of us is fixing to score. That was the title of his speech. He said, I'm either scoring on you or you're scoring on me. But boys, you got to hold on with both hands, because one of us is fixing to score.
Yeah, and look, Ellis, I want you to talk about this stuff about Mike Dubose, and by the way, y'all was talking about Logan, and you know, Pete, you knew him very well, and I'm friends with Logan 3, and you talk about the cool fact that just Brother Oliver living in the guest house when he coached for the Showboats. I mean, everybody, that was like Kevin, Robert Plant or Mick Jagger. I mean, that guy was already a badass in the mid 80s. And so we're like, wow, he's living in Mr. Young's house over, in Chickasaw Gardens. It was like, this is so cool. But the football knowledge that they used to have, Ellis, like Logan said, sometimes he'd come home from school and Barry Switzer, Jimmy Johnson, Johnny Majors would be sitting at the bar in his dad's house. It's like, this just happens every day. Literally. It doesn't happen to other people, And I got a number for Coach Switzer. A number. I'm gonna call him and see if I can get him on this show. I think that would be an interesting conversation. And Ellis, talk about, we've bounced all over the league. I want you to touch on Missouri real quick, and then Pete, I want you to talk about some interesting stats on DJ Lagway that you referenced last night. I mentioned them on the pop-up show with Buddy Martin and Franz Beard. And by the way, folks, in-depth coverage. You won't find anything better. It's like being in the kitchen with Gordon Ramsay for Thanksgiving. He's going to cook for you on the Buddy Martin show tonight, right here on this channel. If it shorts everybody in the world, Brendan will find a way to make it work. But Ellis, talk about your thoughts on Missouri first.
One of the most impressive things to me about what Drink has done there is he's won in different ways. I mean, he's really considered an offensive coach, a real good quarterback coach, and all that from his background. They won that game the other day. The offenses on either side were not real good, but they defensively they got after Auburn at the end of the ball game. That was the difference in the two teams. And
Yeah.
DJ Durkin has had Auburn playing good defense all year. They played. I think
Yeah.
they had one game statistically wasn't good, but the offense put them in a bad place so many times. But both offenses were really average to bad,
Yes.
and the defense was really good. And it just, I just think he's done a great job. He's improved that team each year in the offseason with the portal and the recruiting. And they get to where you watch them now, you can tell they all believe in their culture. I think he's had 3 different quarterbacks or 4 since he's been there. Every one of them, they'll have a game or two where they're not playing well and they make a mistake, but every one of them play extremely well in the system. They're well coached. You can just tell that they're playing in a system that they know what they're doing. They
Yeah.
function. Uh,
Yeah.
but the difference in the game really, and Prabula, he wasn't real good, but I mean, he threw 2 picks himself. But
Yeah.
he's just much more reliable with the football than Jackson Arnold is right now. It's a shame. Auburn has got one of the best receiver rooms in that conference, and Jackson Arnold cannot throw the ball downfield effectively.
Yeah. It's
Hey,
tough. Look, we
Rob,
got about
I,
7
to add
minutes
on to
left.
to add on to what Coach said, my youngest brother lives in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and he knows
The
a couple
office.
people, Penn State guys, and the Penn State people say if Prabula had not left Penn State, James Franklin would still be there. So that's a whole nother deal. Florida, DJ Lagway going into the game on Saturday against Mississippi State had 4 total yards rushing after 6 games. He gained 70 and he lost 66. Rob, I looked it up last night. He gained 8 yards against Mississippi State. If you would have told me after 7 games in Gainesville, DJ Lagway, one of the top 3 or 5 quarterbacks in the country, has 12 total rushing yards on the year, I would have said, whoa, what are you drinking? Because
Yeah.
that athlete, but here's the thing that I don't understand. You had Anthony Richardson. I think Billy's problems went back to the Rashida deal and just snowballed from there, along with some other stuff. But you have Anthony Richardson and you have DJ Lagway, 2
Yeah.
guys that when we get on the road, they're the first guys off the bus because they're going, whoa, look at these cats.
Yeah.
And neither one of them made improvement. And I that one is hard to understand. But yeah, Lagway has 12 yards rushing after 7 games, which tells me they really have some offensive line problems too.
Yeah.
Because a
And that,
bunch of that lost yardage is sack yardage. So it's not all DJ's fault, but man, they've got some big time issues on that offense.
well, and we've only got about 5 minutes left, but I'll say Cole Kubelik talked about all these offensive linemen coming and going in the portal in the spring. They get all the reps with the ones. They leave. They're called stolen reps, and you got to have continuity. Ellis, real quick before we go, and what a show, man. Thank you all for your patience. Those of you watching, and Brendan will be putting it back up on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, however we do it. But this has been fun. One of the most informative shows ever. Ellis, what do you think happens with Vanderbilt from here on out? They've got Missouri coming to Nashville Saturday. And Vanderbilt, they got to be comfortable being the hunter, and I mean the hunted now instead of being the hunted. How easy is that?
Well, I think they've gotten accustomed to it. I don't think they've shown in any game so far that the pressure got to them or they were
Yeah.
overconfident. Either or, they come
Yeah.
ready to play every week.
Yeah.
I still think they're a little bit below on talent level in some key spots.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, somebody's going to beat them just because they can't, physically they just can't block them or they can't
Yeah.
outrun them or whatever. But they've closed that gap too through the things that
Yeah.
we talked about earlier. But I see a couple of losses. I don't see them winning at Texas, and I don't see them winning at Tennessee. But that's just a guess, and they'll be in every ball game because they're
Yeah.
a solid team. And the thing that's good about them is that the defense is playing really tough, and then they don't have to throw the ball around to keep control of it and keep it away from the opponent. That running game, because of the versatility of it, and because of that kid running the offense.
Yeah.
I mean, once again, he was the total offense leader. He was the leading rusher on the team.
Yeah.
And he just, I don't know. They're going to be a hard out, but I still think a couple more losses. I don't see them sneaking in that championship game. I just don't see it.
But they've raised the bar. Pete, in about a minute or so, a lot of people have their doubts. I mean, I've got friends, college football's ruined and all that stuff. We have been through potholes along the way, so many things. And in the 156 years the college football has been around, give our viewers, the nation and the world, a Coach Pete Cordelli 60 seconds or less talk before they go out on the field today in their job, whatever they do, about how college football will be better than Ezra. We just got to wait and fight through it, but we're going to get there.
The focus on too much off the field stuff is distracting people Monday through Friday or Thursday night. The games we're seeing, I mean, there is some high level competition going on, and man, the game is just getting better. Notre Dame beating Southern Cal the other night. I mean, Love and Price, look at those guys. I mean, Marcus Freeman's name is up for every opening in the country. It's good to have Notre Dame bounce back, from the Miami A&M losses. Thank you, making it great. But the parity in college football right now is more than we've ever seen it. Yeah, Ohio State's undefeated and they're playing great defense. This league, this SEC, man, every week somebody can beat somebody else. The unexpected happens. It's just, look at what UCLA has done in the change in midseason. Now all of a sudden they're going to Indiana. I'm going to say something right now. It's going to create a lot of problems for people. They're not going to agree with me. They're going to burn me at the stake. That's fine. Don't be worried. Don't be shocked if Arch Manning doesn't go to Indiana next year to play for Signetti.
Wow. You heard it here.
I'm just telling you now, don't be shocked, because Sig, he's one of the best recruiters out there, and he knows he's losing Mendoza. You look at the issues, there's going to be a conversation. Arch is not coming out for the NFL, but I don't know if Arch is going to be at Texas next year after these issues for a couple of years. Okay?
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, did you guys, Ellis, all the years we coached and went to bowl games, did you ever not get paid a bowl bonus?
I don't think so.
Yeah, Arkansas beats Texas Tech in the Liberty Bowl. The Arkansas staff didn't get 1 penny of a bowl bonus last year.
Yeah.
So I credit Sam Pittman. Arkansas's got issues, man. But this money gap in college football, somehow, some way, they're going to overcome it. But let me say this to you. You think October's wild? Wait till we get to November. You're going to have, all kinds of seatbelts to hold on.
It's going to be crazy.
We're getting better.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And Brendan just said we can go a few extra minutes. I was going to say, Pete, I didn't mean to cut you off. I like that prediction. I'm going to tell you something. Nothing would bring people to a dead silence and halt and frozen wherever they were on the trading floor than when Frederick W. Smith, the founder, the chairman, the CEO of FedEx, would be talking on CNBC or Fox Business about financial markets. I feel the same way when Ellis and Peter are on here, man. This is just friggin' awesome. Both of y'all. And I know y'all are coaches, and I think we got to be careful too about fire this guy and fire that guy. Y'all have dealt with that stuff. Sorry, women and children. But you got to think about that, because I know this. Dad always told me, he said, less is more, boy. He said, look at all these pictures and mounts on the wall. There's too much going on. Take a few things off and then stuff will stand out. But you don't have to say that much to get people fired up. Because if they don't have it within them, and you have to just push them to do everything, no one's ever going to get to the top unless they got that internal mechanism to be great. But I think y'all are both right. too much off the field shenanigans and stuff. That goes for Michael Jordan, a good friend listening down on 30A at Blue Mountain. And
number 23, Michael Jordan.
No, the one that was he was one of your guys at your football camp. He goes, I love me some Pete
I know who you're talking about.
He came from,
hey, Rob, I just want to tell you this, man. When you drop that S-bomb, you're talking like a coach now. I love it. I love your passion. Yeah, come on, brother. Bring it on.
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, I just remember telling people, coaching kids in cross country and track and field, 5th through 8th graders, I go, all right, everybody at the starting line, everybody squeeze your hand as hard as you can. They'd be like, ah, and I'd be going, squeeze it. And they'd sweat coming down their head. And I go, now squeeze it a little harder, because somebody out there has been working harder than you have. And I promise you, you don't know who they are, but they're coming for you. So when that gun goes off, your teammates, your siblings, you're all first team. But when that gun goes off, they're all in your way between now and first place. So go get it. And look, bottom line, great show today. And I want to say, most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. Think about what that means. We're all so blessed in so many ways. I know we've had a little bit of some technical issues today, but we fight through it. Landers
Thank you, Brendan. Thank you, Brendan, man.
Yeah.
I'm just glad something went wrong that I wasn't at fault.
That's right. My wife, I can't hear you. Well, the fan was blowing. She goes, you don't ever listen to me. I'm like, yeah, I do. But
hey, Rob, you have time for a quick Logan story?
Yeah.
All right. You went to Christian Brothers High School in Memphis.
Oh yeah.
They had a young man. They had a young man back there by the name of Canale, Justin Canale.
Yeah. I had Billy Canale. Billy Canale was one of my coaches. Love that guy.
Justin, in his senior year, it comes down to Alabama or Tennessee.
Yeah.
All right. So Larry Lacewell's at Tennessee, and he's recruiting Memphis, but he's staying at Logan's house because they're such good buddies. So Coach Lacewell calls Canale and says, I'm coming by Christian Brothers tomorrow. What's good for you? He said, Coach, come by at lunch. He said, I got all the time in the world. He said, great. So Lace says he goes to a couple high schools. He gets to Christian Brothers about 11:45. He walks in, says to the secretary, I want to meet with Coach so-and-so, and I'm here to meet with Justin Canale. And she goes, Coach, he's not in school today. He said, I talked to him yesterday. He said he told me to come by at noon. I said, Coach, he's not in school, but I'll get you with the head coach. So Lace goes down. Coach says, no. He said, Justin, he called in sick. So Lace goes, man, that's surprising me about Justin Canale. So he goes and hits another school, and then he goes back to Logan's house. And it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Sun is out, birds are shining, chirping and everything. As he comes to pull into the driveway of Logan Young's house, there's Justin Canale washing Logan Young's car in the driveway.
A fine young man. Yes, sir.
So Lace jumps out. He goes, hey, what are you doing? He said, I'm washing Mr. Young's car. He said, no, you told me I'd be to be at school at noon. He said, yeah, I know, but, Mr. Young called. He said, whoa. You work for Logan Young? He said, yes, sir, I do. He said, how much is he paying you? He said, Mr. Young told me to never discuss money with you, Coach Lacewell. Lacewell starts screaming at the house, Logan! All of a sudden, here comes Logan with 2 glasses, a bottle of bourbon, and he comes walking out. And he said, Larry, let's go by the pool and have a drink and talk this over. He said, because if you create many more issues like this, the neighbors are going to call the police, and I'm going to have to make you go stay at the Holiday Inn.
I mean, it's a 30 for 30. I mean,
I'm telling you now. Yeah. And Canale says, I really thought I was in trouble. He said, but Mr. Young told me don't worry about it. Lacewell came out. After he had a drink, and he looked at Justin. He said, this car looks mighty shiny. You did a good job, son.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, when I was there, if you missed school, Brother Adrian would call your house and grill your mother and go, Oh, what do you mean he's sick? Well, he's got 100. He can get to school. Ellis, in the Mid-South, whenever we got snow, and we get 2 or 3 good snows a year, every school, every business, hospitals would be closed. We do have one opening. Christian Brothers High School is open. Brother Adrian would look at the traffic at I-240 in Walnut Grove, and if there was any movement on the interstate, he was from like Minnesota. So he was like, that's just nothing. I mean, if you were late twice, 8:01, it didn't matter. After school, you talk about not being able to fool those people. I'll never forget. He said, clean up the parking lot after school. Well, I waited 15, 20 minutes, took him some torn up paper I took out of a trash can. He felt it. It was in January, and he goes, this is warm. It's 20 degrees out here. Saturday school, I got 15 hours. And you know who was there? Coach Nix and Coach Canale. And it was Cool Hand Luke. We moved the sand pile. He goes, we'd move it. There were 3 of us. He goes, no, move it over there. We're like, no, 15 hours. That's where I learned about doing things right the first time. Guys, thank y'all so much. Awesome stuff. Coach Pete Cordelli, Coach Ellis Johnson, executive producer Brendan Martin. And look, our sponsors, LandersFordMemphis.com, open every day of the week except Sunday. The day means more than the dollar. As for Brad Bellamy, the general manager, Hewlett & Dunn, Boot and Clothing Company on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee, HewlettandDunn.com. It will ship anything, anywhere. Filson, Barber, all the boots for kids, women, Rumble, Boxing, Union, and McLean. How you fight is how you live. And Hemp for Pros, the gummies, lights out. We'll see you tomorrow. When times are tough, keep going, because hell is a bad place to be. We'll see you tonight. Take care. Always.